Hello, I am so glad that you are here today and that you took some time for yourself. Whether you have been here from day one, episode 1 of Drinking with Gin, or you joined somewhere along the way, or it's your very first episode joining us here today, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much that you are here on this journey alongside me. I'm Ginny Preem, and this is something that I have been waiting for months to say to you. Welcome to Unsubscribe with Ginny Preem. What does that mean? So a lot of people, as I've been sharing along behind the scenes with some of my closest friends about this rebrand and what it really means to me, the first thing that people have said is, what? No more drinking with gin? And trust me, I feel the same way. If you know that story, that name was given to me posthumous from my dad via a guide. I know it might be a little woo-woo for some people, but I did not come up with that name myself. And who knows? I'm going to hang on to it. Maybe we'll repurpose it somewhere else. And while I am incredibly proud of the work that we did on Drinking with Gin, 3 years of episodes. You know what? I had no idea what the hell I was doing when I first started. I was just told I needed to start. So I started. And while I always had this idea and vision that it would be personal improvement, personal development, mindset shifts, etc., it was so easy for me based on my own experiences and the feedback that viewers and listeners were giving was that the content continued to go back to narcissism. And I am extremely passionate about that topic, narcissistic abuse, recovery, understanding narcissism so that we know how to protect ourselves from those types of manipulative and destructive behaviors, really. But I also, at the same time, while being really proud of what we accomplished on Drinking with Gin, the incredible over 50 guests, I don't even know how many episodes, I think over 160 episodes, I still at the same time felt this pull and this need to evolve the content, not just for me, but for you. And so Unsubscribe is really designed to help high achievers and powerhouse women kind of cut out the noise and let go of what no longer serves them so that we can collectively together perform better, lead better, and live better. So my goal is really for this to be a place where we transform and evolve together in so many different ways. So what can you expect here on the show? Well, of course, there will be some one-on-one conversations with me, just like this here today. We have an incredible guest lineup. When I tell you the guests that I already have booked through the end of this year, I'm talking inventors, designers, business owners, people that are changing the way that we look at things. And that's what we need in order to change and evolve, is to have curiosity and open mind. And so we're going to be having incredible conversations that really are designed to transform your life. Because the secret to getting ahead is actually letting go. So while I've been working on this rebrand for months, and I'll give you a little bit of insight and background into why I wanted to do this and kind of how Unsubscribe came to be. It was, again, this might be a little woo-woo for some people, but it was basically an intuitive download. I was having a conversation with one of my friends who I run all of my ideas by. And I just told him, I said, this was maybe a Wednesday night or a Thursday night. And I said, I just need that big idea, like that thing that resonates, that I am going to be able to help people transform and change their lives for the better. And he's like, don't worry, it will come, it will come. The next morning, in about a 7-minute time period, I had this intuitive download and Unsubscribe came to me. I built out the framework, realized that nobody else was doing anything with it. And of course I got to work. I started working on it. I was like, okay, the first thing I need to do is a book. But I didn't even realize at the time how big this idea really was. I started pitching it as a keynote. I started getting booked over a year out. This message is resonating with everyone from parents using it with their teenagers, to college students, to executives of Fortune 500 companies. It is such a universal principle, framework, system. I call it the filter to reclaim time, energy, and boundaries at work and life. And who doesn't need that right now? I mean, everyone is running around overwhelmed, so busy, so much on their plates, running on a hamster wheel. And if that's you, if you've felt that way or have ever felt that way or are feeling that way right now, you are definitely in the right place. So this rebrand was more about just another chapter in a book for me. It was really about it being my whole message, a whole movement. So along with the rebrand of the podcast here today and it being called Unsubscribe with Ginny Preem, my newsletter, which was formerly known as Gin's Juice, is now Unsubscribe with Ginny Preem. Yes, there is a new book coming next year. Stay tuned for details on that. You can also sign up for my newsletter. I will put a link to that in the show notes, so you can just click on that and sign up easily and directly. But right now, before I even tell you the next thing, I would love to hear, just without even giving you the framework, what does it mean to you to be able to unsubscribe from something? Whether it's an old pattern, behavior, a relationship, a negative self-talk or negative self-thought that you have kind of on repeat in your mind. Put in the comments, what is something that you either have chosen to unsubscribe from that's changed your life, or something that as you're thinking, you're like, man, I was dealing with this thing yesterday or today, and you know what would really help? Unsubscribe. And if you could unsubscribe from that thing, that one thing, how much it would make your life better. Because when we unsubscribe from things that no longer serve us, what it does is it creates space for what's really aligned and meant for us. And if we go back to my whole concept and talking about unsubscribe from narcissism, that's really the biggest game changer for me. Of course, I have chosen to unsubscribe from a lot of other things, a corporate career, because I thought that chasing the title was what success meant. But that no longer defines success for me. What defines success for me now is alignment. And knowing that I can help not just one organization in my corporate leadership role, but now in this role with my unsubscribe message, I can help many teams and organizations and individuals with implementing unsubscribe into their own lives. So in addition to the new podcast, the new newsletter, the new book coming out, this being my keynote, there's also a new website, and it's unsubscribeofficial.com. Please go check it out. You can see a little bit more about what Unsubscribe is all about, and there's merch. So if you're like, man, Unsubscribe, this is so catchy, the recall, and I'll tell you a couple of different stories about how I have seen this in action already and using it with clients, with colleagues, speaking colleagues in the industry. But unsubscribeofficial.com also has merch. And so you can go over there. It's a great way for you to get some merch and some swag and of course support the work here that we do on the podcast. I personally already ordered myself the trucker hat, the stocking hat, and 2 different sweatshirts. So I cannot wait for those to arrive. And I will, of course, wear them on social media. I'll wear them probably in a future episode so that you can see in video, for those of you watching on video, what some of that looks like. But of course, in the meantime, go check it out on the website, unsubscribeofficial.com. I will link it in the show notes. Also, this episode is sponsored by Thrifty Traveler, which is a customized annual subscription where you get cheap flights delivered right into your inbox, and they are customized. You will get international, domestic, money flights that you pay for, miles flights that you can book on Miles. And with my link, you get $20 off your first year subscription. So it's only $80 for the entire year. You book one flight and it more than pays for itself. A couple of examples that I've booked are $280 round trip to Alaska, $380 round trip to Amsterdam, and $750 round trip to New Zealand. And there's many, many more. I've also booked to Lisbon, Iceland, Aruba, and so many more. So it is such a great way to, if you like to travel, to get a really good return on your investment. So I will put a link to that in the show notes. This episode is also brought to you by Marion Park. Marion Park is a shoe designer, inventor, and these luxury shoes I cannot get enough of. I have 3 pairs already myself, and she has given us a discount code. So for my ladies that are on their feet a lot, my keynote speakers, if you're at conferences, my salespeople, people that are on their feet a lot, these are truly the most comfortable, fashionable shoes I have ever owned. I worked with my business coach a few months back in LA, and I wore my pair of Marion Parks for 12 hours. My feet did not hurt. Was I ready for, to put on something a little bit more comfortable? Sure. But after 12 hours, that's to be expected. But my dogs were not barking even after 12 hours. So you get 15% off with code GIN15. That's 15% off with code GIN15 at marionpark.com. I will put a link in the show notes as well. So I just want to give a quick shout out and a thank you to our sponsors of this episode today. Okay, so let's talk about the power of unsubscribe. What does that look like? What does it even mean? If you just think of it in the simplest, most literal example, your inbox gets cluttered with emails, unwanted emails, newsletters, spam, and sometimes you can't even see what's really there until you unsubscribe from the things that are unnecessary. But if you think about unsubscribe, it really applies in every area of our lives. It's such a universal principle. And so for me, I had to unsubscribe from hustle culture. I had to unsubscribe from trying to be everything to everybody, people pleasing, perfectionism, all of these things that were getting me nowhere. And I didn't even realize that I was spinning my wheels until I released and let go of these things so that I could start focusing on what truly matters. And that's when everything changed. Things became so much more peaceful for me. I found clarity in who I was and what I wanted out of life. It allowed me to help implement stronger boundaries because, man, I barely had any boundaries, if I had any at all, back in the day. And it gave me the freedom to focus on what's really important. And that's really what I want to do here with this podcast, is give you permission to let go so that you can rise even higher. I'll give you a quick rundown of the 4 pillars of unsubscribe. So there is mute, block, swap, and manage. And if you think about them, each one kind of serves a different level of important and urgent concepts, relationships, challenges, issues that you're facing in your life. So manage is for the most important things. Manage are the things that need attention right away. They're probably pretty important and pretty urgent, and they're things that you can't just unsubscribe from. And so when I talk about unsubscribe, I am not talking about just walking away from things. I am talking about unsubscribe and using this as a critical thinking skill and an actionable tool to truly transform and change your life. So the 4 pillars, when I talk about manage, this is for the more important things that you can't necessarily completely eliminate, but you can manage things. I like to use relationships for manage because so many people have interpersonal relationships that they might struggle with. So how we can manage a relationship to make it more fitting and more, maybe it's somebody that drains your energy every time you get together with them. So maybe you can look at changing the duration, the amount of time that you spend with them each time you spend. Or maybe it's the frequency. Maybe you see them a little bit less frequent. Or maybe you change the type of communication. Instead of seeing them in person, maybe it's a phone call or a FaceTime or a Zoom, or maybe it's an email or a text, right? Especially if you're dealing with toxic people, getting things in writing can be really helpful. So maybe you unsubscribe from the way you're doing it right now to make it something that is more suited and healthier for you. Then you have swap. Swap is really great to think about replacing older, outdated patterns, habits, and replacing it with something that's a little bit better. I love to use the example of exercise because that's such a simple concept that everybody understands. Maybe high intensity interval training isn't working for you right now, and so you do yoga instead, something a little bit more gentle. If you're injured and you can't run, maybe you can walk. You swap that for a walk. And so that's just a really simple, easy way to think about that. And again, if you have ideas that are flowing to you, put them in the comments because I would love to hear how you might apply unsubscribe in your own life. Then we have mute. Mute is something maybe you need to take a temporary break from. Dry January, sober September, sober October. That is such a simple thing that so many people can relate to as in terms of something that you need to maybe just take a temporary break from and then come back to it. See how you feel. Again, this is actionable. This is taking accountability. It's not just being like flippantly going, okay, I'm just going to walk away from this. And it's not about being rude. You're being resourceful when you're implementing unsubscribe, especially when I talked about managing relationships. It's not being rude by seeing somebody less frequently. It's making the most of your time and making sure that it's providing value, not just for you, but also for the other person. And then you have block. So block is the ultimate unsubscribe. This is when you are completely eliminating something or someone that no longer serves you. Maybe you've tried manage, swap, and mute first. And if none of those are working, it's a full-on block. Now, I have implemented block a fair amount, okay? Because we know if you've been here for a while, you know my history with allowing toxic relationships in my life. And I no longer will do that. I don't have space for it. And what's happened by doing that is it has opened up space for me to invest and strengthen and deepen my existing relationships and welcome in new, authentic, warm, caring relationships into my life. So when you start to unsubscribe, what you will see is you start attracting more of what is aligned to you. So those are the 4 pillars. I wanted to give you just like a quick sort of overview of those. Of course, there will be more. We'll dive in deeper into each of those as we go along the way. So in future episodes, as I mentioned, what you can expect are high impact solo episodes with me. We will have powerhouse guests where you will have some experts, some real raw conversations of how people have implemented unsubscribe in their own lives or what it means to them that I already know some of the guests you are going to relate to so much in different aspects of your life. And as you're listening to these episodes, or even this one today, maybe you are thinking of somebody right now that you know needs to hear this message, that maybe they need to unsubscribe from something, or maybe they have, and you know that this show would be perfect for them. Share it. We also always love collecting 5-star reviews and ratings. So if you feel so compelled, please hop onto Apple or Spotify and leave us a review, share the show, share an episode, share it on your social media and tag me. And if there's something that resonated, pop it in there. I would love to then share that so that other people can learn and grow as well. You can also expect actionable tools and tips, mindset shifts to help support you and me on our personal growth journeys as we continue to grow and evolve here. And if you are an entrepreneur, a professional, and you think that this is something that your team could really benefit from, go ahead and send me a message. I would love to bring my message into your organization or team, or you can visit ginnypreem.com or unsubscribeofficial.com and get in touch with me that way. I would love to be a part of helping your organization and your team perform better, lead better, and live better. I love when we can bring these types of messages to both professional and personal development. I think that's when the magic really happens. And that's what I love about Unsubscribe so much, is it's really this universal message. When I was talking with my business coach about it and I was telling her I had this concept and this idea that applies to everything, she was like, Ginny, nothing applies to everything. And the more we started talking about it, she was like, oh my gosh, this could even apply to like the founder of McDonald's, right? He had to unsubscribe from the idea of the way people were doing things. He swapped it out for a new way of, faster production of making burgers. But what did he block? He blocked not making tacos. They're not going to have tacos, right? It's a burger. So when you think about it in its real raw format, unsubscribe applies to so many different ways. Again, I would love to hear how you've maybe already applied it into your own life, not even knowing the language, but It's such a sticky word and concept. The recall on it is incredible. I met with a fellow speaker last week and you were talking about what's your core message and kind of your ideal client. And I was telling her about unsubscribe. And I swear she recalled unsubscribe no less than 7 times in an hour in our meeting because it's just so relevant and relatable and catchy to so many different things, so many different areas of life. And I love getting messages from people saying, oh, nope, I was dealing with this challenge, unsubscribe, don't have time for this. And it's about being resourceful. It's a critical thinking skill that helps you prioritize better so that you can be less busy and more productive. So many people think that the problem is that they're really busy, but I assure you, if you were to go look at your schedule right now, and look at all of the things that are on there. How many things on there are you doing just out of obligation that you don't really want to do, that aren't really providing or adding value, that you could probably eliminate from your calendar? And what that will do is free up space so that you're not so busy and you can actually be productive and focus on the things that move the needle and truly matter. So again, I just want to say thank you for being here. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for sticking through for this first introductory episode of Unsubscribe with Ginny Preem as we undergo this rebrand and changing of the name. Of course, we will still cover narcissism and toxic people. Spoiler alert, there are already some episodes coming up about that. So if that's the kind of content you're here for, you're still going to get that, but you're also going to get so much more. So I guess I'll just leave you with this little reminder. Success isn't about more. It's about less with intention. It's about letting go of what doesn't matter. So what will you unsubscribe from today? I'm Ginny Preem, and thank you for being here with me on Unsubscribe. This is your space to reclaim time, energy, and boundaries. Until next time, perform better, lead better, and live better.